Yo, what's poppin', y'all? You're listening to the J&T podcast. This episode, the muscular system.
The muscular system is responsible for the movement of the human body. Attached to the bones of the skeletal system are about 700 named muscles that make up roughly half of a person's body weight. Each of these muscles is a discrete organ constructed of skeletal muscle tissue, blood vessels, tendons, and nerves. Muscle tissue is also found inside of the heart, digestive organs, and blood vessels. In these organs, muscles serve to move substances through the body. Within the muscle system, there are three main types of muscles. This includes the visceral, the cardiac, and the skeletal muscles. The visceral muscle is found inside of organs like the stomach, intestines, and blood vessels. The weakest of all muscle tissues, visceral muscle makes organs contract to move substances through the organ. Because visceral muscle is controlled by the unconscious part of the brain, it is known as an involuntary muscle. Therefore, it cannot be directly controlled by the conscious mind. The term smooth muscle is often used to describe visceral muscle because it has a very smooth, uniform appearance when viewed under a microscope. This smooth appearance starkly contrasts with the banded appearance of cardiac and skeletal muscle, which leads me to my next muscle, the cardiac muscle, which is only found in the heart. Cardiac muscle is responsible for pumping blood throughout the body. Cardiac muscle tissues cannot be controlled consciously, so it is an involuntary muscle. While hormones and signals from the brain adjust the rate of contraction, cardiac muscle stimulates itself to contract. The natural pacemaker of the heart is made of cardiac muscle tissues that stimulate other cardiac muscle cells to contract. Because of its self-stimulation, cardiac muscle is considered to be arrhythmic or intrinsically controlled. The cells of cardiac muscle tissue are striated. That is, they appear to have light and dark stripes when viewed under a light microscope. The arrangement of protein fibers inside the cells causes these light and dark bands. Striations indicate that a muscle cell is very strong, unlike visceral muscles. The cells of cardiac muscles are branched X or Y-shaped cells, tightly connected together by special junctions called intercalated discs. Intercalated discs are made up of finger-like projections from two neighboring cells that interlock and provide a strong bond between the cells. The branch structure and intercalated discs allow the muscle cells to resist high blood pressures and the strain of pumping blood throughout a lifetime. These features also help to spread electrochemical signals quickly from cell to cell so that the heart can beat as a unit. Skeletal muscle is the only voluntary muscle tissue in the human body. It is controlled consciously. Every physical action that a person consistently performs, including speaking, walking, riding, reading, or walking, requires skeletal muscle. The function of skeletal muscle is to contract to move parts of the body closer to the bone that the muscle is attached to. Most skeletal muscles are attached to two bones across the joints, so the muscle serves to move parts of those bones closer to each other. Skeletal muscle cells form when many smaller progenitor cells lump themselves together to form long, straight, multinsulated fibers. Striated just like cardiac muscles, these skeletal muscle fibers are very strong. Skeletal muscle derives its name from the fact that these muscles always connect to the skeleton in at least one place. Most skeletal muscles are attached to two bones through tendons. Tendons are tough bands of dense, regular connective tissue whose strong collagen fibers firmly attach muscles to bones. Tendons are under extreme stress when muscles pull on them, so they are very strong and woven into these coverings of both muscles and bones. Muscles move by shortening their length, pulling on tendons, and moving bones closer to each other. One of the bones is pulled towards the other bone, which remains stationary. The place on the stationary bone that is connected via tendons to the muscle is called the origin. The place on the moving bone that is connected to the muscle via tendons is called the insertion. The belly of the muscle is the fleshy part of the muscle in between the tendons that is not the actual contraction. The names of the skeletal muscles within the body include 750 different names, some of which include many muscles derive their names from the anatomical region. The rectus abdominis and transverse abdominis, for example, are found in the abdominal region. Some muscles, like those tibialis anterior, are named after the part of the bone that they are attached to. Other muscles use a hybrid of these two, like the brachialis, which is named after the region brachial and bone, radius, origin, and insertion. Some muscles are named based upon their connection to a stationary bone, origin, and a moving bone, insertion. These muscles become very easy to identify once you know the names of the bones that they are attached to. Examples of this type of muscle include the stereocleidomastoid, connecting the sternum and clavicle to the mastoid process of the skull, and the octofrontalis, connecting the occipitaal bone to the frontal bone. Number of origins. Some muscles connect to more than one bone or to one bone or more than one place on a bone, and therefore have more than one bone in one origin. A muscle with 2 origins is called the biceps. A muscle with 3 origins is called the triceps. Finally, a muscle with 4 origins is shaped like a quadriceps muscle, also classically muscles by their shapes. For example, the deltoids have delta or triangular shape. The striatus muscles form a serrated or saw-like shape. The rhomboid major is a rhombus or diamond shape. The size of the muscle can be used to distinguish between 2 muscles found in the same region. The gluteal region contains 3 muscles differentiated by size. The gluteus maximus, large, gluteus medius, medium, and the gluteus minimus, smallest. Finally, the direction in which the muscle fibers can be used to identify the muscle. In the abdominal region, there are several sets of wide, flat muscles. These muscles, whose fibers run straight up and down, are the rectus abdominis. The ones running transversely left to right are the transverse abdominis, and the ones running at an angle are the obliques. Muscles are sometimes classified by the function that they perform. Most of the muscles on their forearms are named because of their functions, because they are located in the same region and have similar shapes and sizes. For example, the flexor group of forearm flexes the wrist and fingers. The supinator is a muscle that supinates the wrist by rolling it over to face palm up. In the leg, there are muscles called abductors, whose role is to abduct, pull together the legs. Which leads me to my next section, group action and skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscles rarely work by themselves to achieve movements in the body. More often, they work in groups to produce precise movements. The muscle that produces any particular movement of the body is known as an agonist or prime mover. The agonist pairs with an antagonist muscle that produces the opposite effect on the same bones. For example, the biceps brachii muscle flexes the arm at the elbow. As the antagonist for this motion, the triceps brachii muscle extends the arm at the elbow. When the tricep is extending the arm, the bicep would be considered the antagonist. In addition to the antagonist/antagonist pairing, other muscles work to support the movements of the antagonist. Synergists are muscles that help to stabilize movement and reduce extraneous movements. They're usually found in regions near the agonist and often connected to the same bones. Because skeletal muscles move the insertion closer to the immobile origin, fixator muscles assist in the movement by holding the origin stable. If you lift something heavy with your arms, fixators in the trunk region hold your body upright and immobile so that you maintain your balance while lifting. Which leads me to my next session, skeletal muscle histology. Skeletal muscle fibers differ dramatically from other tissues of the body due to their highly specialized functions. Many of organelles that make up muscle fibers are unique to this type of cell. The sarcolemma is the cell membrane of muscle fibers. The sarcolemma acts as a conductor for electrochemical signals that stimulate muscle cells. Connected to the sarcolemma are transverse tubules, T-tubules, that help carry these electrochemical signals to the middle of the muscle fiber. The sarcophagus rectilium serves as a storage facility for calcium ions that are vital to muscle contractions. Mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, are abundant in muscle cells to break down sugars and provide energy in the form of ATP to activate muscles. Most of the muscle fibers structures is made up from myofibrosis, which are the contractile structures of the cell. Myofibrils are made up of many proteins arranged into the repeating subunits called sarcomeres. The sarcomere is the function of muscle fibers. Sarcomere are made of 2 types of protein fibers, thick filament and thin filaments. Thick filaments are made of bonded units in the protein myosin. Myosin is the protein that causes these muscles to contract, whereas thin filaments are made of 3 proteins, actin, tropsin, and troponin. Actin is...
Hey yo, we just want to say thank you for tuning into this T and J podcast. Subscribe for more.